Hi everyone, how's it going? I'm Bonnie Violet, trans, femme, genderqueer, spiritual drag artist, digital chaplain.
I'm Pacey, trans, non-binary, mental health and recovery advocate.
And welcome to Transjoy podcast, where every story, laugh, and act of joy is a stand for our community.
We uplift bold voices, share real experiences, and celebrate trans lives thriving.
Tune in, connect, and spread the joy because trans joy is unstoppable.
That was pretty good.
Right? It's kind of like riding a bike.
A little
maybe.
rusty.
Yeah, I mean, we've taken a few weeks off now. We've had like a couple, 3 weeks maybe.
Yeah.
At least two.
At least two, yeah, because I was out of town for 1 week, and then we were having a little bit of technical difficulties for a week, and we just kind of wanted to take a step back and breathe a little bit.
Yeah, I think we both had to do a little respite, maybe. Like,
absolutely.
I know I had to take some time away. A lot of life kind of came at me all at once. You know, I went to DC, did AIDS Watch. That was a horrible experience. I don't really want to talk about, but I mean, going to the Capitol Hill to talk about AIDS, as a tranny, with Idaho Republicans. Yeah, it wasn't cute. I don't even know what I was thinking. I had a moment of delusion, insanity. I don't know, to be willing to go and do it, but
it's hard. Like, even when we did that at the Boise Capitol, I felt really conflicted by it because, you know, on the one hand, I really wanted to be there because I think it's a great organization. It's a great cause.
Right.
But on the other hand, I felt like I was hurting the cause just by being there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because Heather Scott came up and was talking to us, all of these people. And I was like, okay, this woman recognizes me from being in the trans hearings, right? And I didn't want her to associate me with the cause because I thought that she might be like, this is gay, I don't want to, you know?
Right.
I really intentionally like pulled myself back and was like, I'm just gonna maybe give them drinks or focus on the lasagna.
Yeah, well, and the hard part is like our transness isn't something we can just shut off, unfortunately, because it's like, even if I wasn't leading with that, it was still part of the whole experience. Like, restrooms were very policed at this time in the Capitol, and it was just very intense. I think it really, like, it shook my confidence a little bit. I think I've been really feeling good about being out in the world as a trans person. I had been feeling pretty confident overall, and I think part of that is, you know, I was able to navigate being here in a way that feels pretty good for the most part. And even when I do kind of like stretch into that a little bit, I don't know, it just doesn't feel as intense. But I think because I was just clear across on the other side of the country, Capitol Hill is like so busy, and there's tourists and there's politicians and there's just everyone. And I think I just got really overwhelmed even just being in public, let alone navigating like the transness or whatever. So, but I think it's taken me a little bit to kind of like, I don't know, I noticed I'm a little, it's kind of back again even here. And I don't like that. Like, I'm more self-conscious again about what I'm wearing or not wearing, and like where I'm going. And I'm just like, oh, I thought I was kind of over that in some ways, you know? So.
Well, you kind of get confident within your own space, right? And I think that, you know, Idaho is very fucking red, but Boise's not. So, and it's still, I mean, we still have all of that to deal with, but
we know, but we know it here, I guess. There was just so much unknown and so much new that it was just like, it just really took me out of my element in a way that I was not anticipating.
Yeah, well, because we're used to, well, personally, I'm used to seeing these fucking assholes in their trucks with their flags or their Let's Go Brandon stickers, right? But if you're in an official setting in the government where there are these elected officials and you're getting that kind of bigotry from these people, it feels different.
Yeah.
You know, it feels heightened, and I feel even more helpless. You know, like, what can I do to defend myself against these people? There's very little. And I think that feels worse.
Yeah. I mean, you know, Crapo's like aid was really actually a pretty great experience overall. But the other two was just very, very smug, very just kind of like not a good experience at all. Yeah.
But I think, you know, I went to Reno to spend time with my family and some of my old friends. And it really helped to just kind of get perspective on everything, because Reno is more red than Boise is. And Reno is just a fucking shit show any way you look at it anyway. But being able to get some distance from what's going on here and have some time to kind of reset, reevaluate, and reprioritize what I have going on, when I come back here, it doesn't feel so overwhelming.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm able to kind of look at things and be having fun with it again, because I think we get so bogged down by what's going on, because of course we do.
Yeah.
That taking some space is necessary. And I think that that's a learning process for us, because we're used to just like, no, go. I don't have time to rest. But we have to. There's no way to survive this otherwise.
Yeah, definitely. I think because the legislative session is done, it kind of feels like a little bit of a weight off our shoulders. But and I think now it's going to be interesting to see kind of like how the podcast evolves and the work that we do. You know, we're still doing like the weekly social support group and the monthly kind of larger social support group / cafe, sort of thing. And so I anticipate that stuff will continue. The March is coming up again this year. So it'll be like the second March. We're set to do that September 5th, which is the Friday of Pride. We're still working out a lot of the logistics and the details. If folks are interested, check out our website. We're definitely looking for other trans and non-binary leadership to kind of help us with organizing that. This year, we're going to really focus on, I think, being all trans led and run, and really figuring out like, and hopefully getting diversity within our experiences that can really help us elevate and expand the impact of the March this year.
I'm really excited for it.
Yeah.
And we're going to be partnering with some pretty exciting organizations.
Yes, I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it. And
so stay tuned.
Yeah, right. And if you want to volunteer, just sign up on the link in our bio, because it's going to be a really good time, I think. And we need it so badly right now.
Yeah, we do. It feels like it's not that, it feels like it's kind of far off, but not really. I think part of that is just because we're just getting into Pride season. Next in June will be like all the other prides, like Twin Falls and Canyon County and Pocatello and Idaho Falls and all of the other prides across the state. And I'm curious to see how that's all going to play out this year. There's been a lot of changes in legislation. There's like the indecent, the new indecent exposure bill.
And that's ridiculous.
I think it's just going to be interesting. I saw the ACLU sent out a thing really just recommending to people to be like really careful and to be prepared to know your rights, that these things might happen if you're at the river or at a park, or especially if you're at a drag or burlesque show or things like that, to really be thinking about eyeballs on us and trying to it's a misdemeanor for the first count, and then like after 3 you get a felony. And the way a lot of laws work, you get charged. It's not usually just one charge. It's usually multiple charges. So I could very easily see that like one incident could lead to multiple charges.
And the tricky thing with that bill is it's so vague, and a lot of the burden falls on the police officers to determine if something is inappropriate or not, or if someone is doing something with like a lewd intent. And that doesn't bode well for the trans community, and I think that it was, this happened. I was in the hearing for this. A Republican went to Pride last year and was there looking for things. Like he was looking for something to cause problems, to get so upset that he has to go and write legislation about.
Right.
And we have to be aware that there are going to be people there with the sole intent of trying to get us into trouble.
Yeah.
And that's dangerous now.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that a lot of these prides and groups that are calling together events for trans people and non-binary people to be in public, that they're really taking into consideration all the things they need to be, because they, us talking about putting on the march and what that looks like, I'm really I don't know if reticent is the word, but I want to be really mindful about how we move forward with that, because I don't want to set anyone to get arrested or have to deal with police in a way that they're not prepared for or we're not prepared for. I also don't want to tell people what they can and cannot wear, because that feels not good and very anti-queer. And I also resent the fact that we would have to go behind some sort of closed doors, some private space in order to like be trans, you know, and experience our joy. And so I feel very conflicted on, as an organizer and as somebody who's creating a space for the community, especially to experience joy in, on how do we take all those into place, you know. And even if like, even in, let's say we decided, please, like everyone has to wear a shirt. If you're marching with us, if you're coming to our festival, everyone has to wear a shirt. Like we still have to plan that somebody might not wear a shirt. Right. Like, and we're going to have to police that. And then if somebody just decides they're going to take off their shirt for whatever reason, which is whatever, and they might not even really think about, they might not have thought it through, right? Like what that looks like. And they might not have had a plan that if they go to jail, and do they have lawyers? Do they have, you know? And so I think us as organizers, we have to put all that stuff into place, regardless of what rules we put down. We still have to plan for, we have to plan for an arrest. We have to plan for all these sorts of things and do everything that we can to protect everyone there, as well as still allowing us to have a space in which we can like let joy out, you know.
It's difficult as organizers because, exactly like you said, like you don't want to dictate what people can and cannot do, right? But the fact that our very existence right now is considered an act of resistance, this march is about trans joy, but it's not going to be received that way. It's going to be received as a protest. So when there are people that are, you know, counter protesters or the police, whatever, they're not going to be looking at this as a celebration of joy. They're going to be looking at this as a protest. So I think they're going to be looking for anything they can pick out to be like, oh, well, they're violent protesters. Oh, well, they are, you know, perverts, whatever.
I mean, that's
really dangerous for us.
Right. And that's like the whole other layer that's, you know, because there is such an attack on protesting and things like that. Like, it's not even just the trans stuff anymore. It's also protesting and how people decide they're going to start policing that. I mean, come September, you know, I think through June, unfortunately, and fortunately, we'll begin to see how this stuff might be impacted, because it starts now, right? Or is it, I saw something about what starts July 1st.
That's the bathroom ban.
The bathroom ban. So, but the indecent one is already in effect. So it'll be curious to see how things play out in the next couple of months. More than likely, there's probably going to be some sort of something, and we'll just have to see how everyone can respond to that. And then it might impact, you know, it's hard to know in September what the state's, like what the state of things really is going to be. At the end of the day, it's probably going to be even more important that we are doing something. But I guess what it looks like, I don't know. There's just a lot still kind of to be determined, you know. And some of us, I think, can understand that, like, like I might decide to not express myself in a certain way because I want to be around community and be in public. Other people aren't going to feel that same way, and I can't fault them, and I don't. And there are probably different times in my life when I would have been, you know what I mean? Like I would have challenged it in so many other different ways. And so
me too.
Like trying to create space for the most people to have the best experiences possible, you know, and
it's
authentic.
Just so scary right now. You know, like some of the consequences are starting to feel
misdemeanors, felonies, in jail, you know, like prison, you know, a lot of the, it's just like, gosh, we just did that interview with City Cats Boise this week, and, you know, we like did all the conversation, and sometimes I feel like it's so hard to not be talking about our narrative, like our struggle or our challenges. It's so hard to not like get stuck in that narrative, I guess. And so I think for me, that's sometimes the challenge I have is authentically and in a balanced way, be able to fully express the range of what we're experiencing right now, because it's not all doom and gloom,
right?
Though that is a big part of it. Do you feel challenged by that sometimes?
I had to write myself a reminder to not talk about dark shit. But that's like, okay, so mine comes from a place of like, obviously trauma, it
Mhm.
kind of desensitizes you to a lot of things. But my dad was a highway patrolman growing up. So like I was exposed to a lot of really gory, terrifying shit because he knew like the realities of the world and how dangerous people can be and the violence that they do
Right.
to each other. And he wanted to protect me from that, but he started when I was way too young. So
Yeah.
like things that would have been considered common dinner table conversation for my family
Mhm.
are fucking horrific to some people. And
Yeah.
I don't get that. So I have to be really cognizant of like, keep it light. But you're right. I think
But you still need space for you
yeah.
to express and to go there.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
yeah, part of it is just discerning
Yeah.
where
Exactly.
and who
Yeah.
can hold that. And then
Mhm.
also I think probably for so long, because I think we can get stuck in
Mhm.
either space, some form of just like, oh, I'm chasing the sparkly stuff.
Mhm.
It's so great to be trans,
exactly.
which it is. But, I think it's just
Mhm.
about having a balanced perspective.
And that's what I've been struggling with.
Yeah.
It seems like both ends have gotten more extreme.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to be in the gray or the in between of it all.
Mhm. Like,
Yeah.
the dark parts for me have gotten so much darker just because of everything that's happening. Like all of the bills that are happening, like the prison in El Salvador, all of these things are horrific, and it has me in a constant state of anxiety. But on the other end of that, like the joy and the beauty I am finding in life is I've never experienced that before.
It's kind of that perspective or that thing that I sometimes hate, like the theology or the thinking behind it, that you have to experience like pain or loss in order to have gratitude for what you have, or to like look for the finer things, or to gain a different perspective.
I absolutely agree.
And so it's like, I feel like, that's happening a lot, and I'm kind of resentful that that's what it's taking. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I'm glad that we're like, many of us are responding in that way, but like, I don't know. It's just like, fuck, sometimes I hate how things work.
Yeah.
Still. I don't think that things always have to be the way that they are.
Mm-hmm.
And yet there are a lot of things that I think we just have to, I don't see why we have to be in pain in order to change or in order to grow. Like, I don't think that has to be the case.
Right.
Though that's often what it takes.
It is often the catalyst.
Yeah. For all of us, whether that's personal growth or like cultural or, bigger growth as well.
Societal, I think.
Societal. That's the word I was
there are these like burdens and expectations placed on us, and I totally get that. The thing that really pisses me off, like aligning with what you're saying, is I put all of this time and effort and energy and pain into my recovery from my major depressive disorder. Like, it was debilitating, and I did all this therapy, I did ketamine therapy, and finally I was happy, like euphoric. And now, just in time, not even a year later, shit hits the fucking fan.
Well, I think, sometimes, I've been in spaces and there's moments when I've thought that is divine timing. Like, I remember when I got sober and stuff, like, it didn't really make a lot of sense, but like, I got sober just in time for life to get worse in a lot of ways. Like, for me, like, my nephew died like within a couple of years, and like, but I think because I was sober and because I was living the life the way that I was able to like show up for my nephew and for my family and everyone that needed me to show up for them during that time. My brother lost his child, and he had a new wife, and my parents lost their grandbaby, and I lost my nephew, and there was Mormon religion, and there was, non-religious, ways of dealing with death and dying and stuff. And so I think because I was more in a better space than I was, before I got sober. I was able to show up, because the old me would have just been too involved with me and what was going on in my life, that I couldn't have shown up for my brother or my family in the way that I did. And in some ways I needed to, and I'm so grateful I got to, because I totally could have not shown up for that. And I think part of it might even be for you.
That's such a good
depending on how you want to see it. And sometimes it's helpful to see it that way, whether it's true or not, that maybe you got you got into this position so that you could begin to like not only endure what was to come, but I think also to be like a light and a almost like an anchor or a buoy for some of the people in our community in this time that
Thank you. Yeah,
you
I
might
think
not have
you're
been able to do
absolutely
in the
right.
past.
Because if I would have been in the same spot like before ketamine,
Either one, both of us.
yeah, I wouldn't have made it through this. Like I can say that in full confidence. Like I don't know what I would be doing right now, but it would not be good.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, I think even our delayedness in our transitions,
yeah,
also I think have kind of however way we want to look at it. Again, it's all about perspective and what we want to give meaning to or how we want to choose to perceive things.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if it makes me feel a little bit better, and it's not too delusional, I think it's good.
Yeah. No, I do too. I think that's a great perspective to have. I hadn't even thought about it that way.
Yeah.
I was just, as usual, like just irritated about it.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem like it would make sense that things are finally in a good place, that like I'm gonna get to experience it like this right now. But maybe part of that is that you get to be in a good place so that you can go through this. I know that like I'm in recovery, and recovery is great, and it feels like it helps a certain part of my life. But I've been feeling really challenged in life by feeling like recovery is what ails me. Like in order for me to have a better experience right now is for me to like focus more on my recovery.
Right.
And I'm just like, I don't think so. But I don't think that's even what recovery is about. I think recovery for me has been about helping me be able to show up for life in its complexities and having a little bit more grace, having a little bit more awareness, a little bit more openness, and maybe even a softening to the experience. So I think sometimes though it does feel like it has to completely eliminate things in order to be doing well, but maybe focusing on recovery or focusing in those settings isn't about fixing what's ails me right now or what I'm challenged with, but maybe it does help me be better suited so that I can begin to approach, attack, whatever, endure, those sorts of things, and hopefully have a little bit more protection, care, safety, less aloneness or isolation through it too.
I think that totally makes sense. I think, everything in my life personally has lined up in such a way that it feels like it exactly like you said, like it was preparing me for this. Like, I did the ketamine therapy, which saved and completely changed my life.
Right.
And then I have like this partner now who is so healthy for me that I'm softening and I'm able to have more compassion for people. And it's just because I have like this light in my life that I've never had before. Yeah. That is making me want to be a kinder person, and I've never thought that I would have that in my life. And it's like, yes, it sucks that we're living through this fucking fascist bullshit that's happening. But on the other hand, like life is the best it has ever been for me. Yeah. And that's difficult to kind of reconcile sometimes because you're like, well, why can't it just be good?
Yeah. Well, that softness though, again, it's going to make it easier for all of us. And it almost is like the solution. I had somebody ask me, I did an interview earlier, and the question was, do you think joy is resistance? And I'm like, I hate that. Like, why should joy be wrapped around resistance to something? Yeah. Like, is joy existence, part of existence? Yes. But I don't like framing my joy at the expense of, or like as a response to shitty things happening. However, I think the softening in a world that is continuing to make things to harden us and to really disconnect us from ourselves and everyone else, one of the most revolutionary things we can do is to stay soft, is to have a soft strength with things,
Absolutely.
And softening doesn't mean we don't fight back. It doesn't mean that we don't learn what we need to do to protect ourselves and our loved ones. It doesn't there's just a softness about it. I think soft strength is something I've heard before, and I really like that idea of having a soft strength.
Oh yeah, there's a quote that I love.
What's like weakness? Like what they say, weakness is stronger than what is that? Strengthen or weak? I don't know what the term is.
We'll find it and put it in the show notes. The one that I love is like, it took so much violence to become this gentle, and I kind of can relate to that because it's like everything is so fucking terrible right now. Everything is so scary. There is violence against us. There's this hatred, and to be able to still remain loving and compassionate, I think is rebellion. But it's something I really struggled with for a while.
I resent the idea that it has to take that violence in order for us to have that experience. And yet I understand that's a lot of our experience. That kind of reminds me of a little tangent of did you see the movie Heretic with Hugh Grant? And, you know, and his basically kind of take on, sorry if you haven't seen this, folks, but like, it's kind of a critique of God and who God is and isn't and stuff.
That movie,
And I felt like kind of that idea of like, well, if God is really creating all the conditions in which you don't really have choice, but the choice that you make, which is still going to end in pain, and then is it really choice? And so I think it's kind of that aspect of this idea of like violence and everything coming at us, forcing us to be soft, forcing us to find joy.
Yeah, well, it's like the question of like free will, and
I just hate that. I hate that like theology or that perspective.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's how I feel like I've often experienced life in that way.
I think that people are reactive, you know, and sometimes, unfortunately, we can get complacent and comfortable in how we are, how we respond to things, just in surviving, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes it takes something happening to spur reaction, to spur change.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, it shouldn't always have to be like that, but I think it is a beautiful opportunity, even if it's under bad circumstances, because then you get to be this.
Right. And we're still choosing to be different because there's the choices to not change and to not, you know what I mean, is to get rigid or to get bitter or to get whatever, which is a valid and okay response. But that's just a response that doesn't seem to serve me like it once did.
See, I have been struggling with that a lot. And I had a conversation, with that old friend of ours the other day. And I've been, you know, I've gotten past this a lot lately, but for a while I was behaving just like the people who are oppressing me in ways, because I was being so shut off. And I just, so I look at like conservatives or people who are really transphobic or the legislators, all of those things. And I'm like, there's so much more to me. And you're only taking this one thing that you know about me and you're judging me on it. And that is exactly what I'm doing to other people. Because there are people who maybe have supported Trump in the past, or who are just Republicans or are more conservative. And for a while, I was just like, fuck you. You know, I had this very black and white, you're either for us or you're against us. But then I know it's so much more nuanced than that. And the fact that it got me to behave in the same ignorant way was really upsetting.
Yeah, because you want the nuance as well. You want people to understand the nuance of who you are.
Exactly.
To not just say you're this, so you're all of this. Yeah.
And I wasn't giving those people the same chance that I wanted them to give me. And that was, you know, a kick in the ass for me. That was really upsetting. So now I'm trying to be compassionate and spread information,
or at least open. Because now the task is, yes, I'm going to be open, but you still have to have some discernment in that, because you can't just go from like fuck you all to love you all.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, and it's just like really trying to find out, okay, who can I begin to open with and like go on this journey with, and who can I not?
Exactly.
Because those folks can be really damaging to us as well.
Absolutely. And I get those all the time, but now it's like I don't immediately jump to being aggressive right back, right?
Yeah.
And I've had some conversations with people that were actually really good for both of us. Like I learned things too. And, you know, a few weeks ago that never would have been possible because I was too shut off to it.
Yeah.
And I think that this is just another example of growth that has been made possible by this struggle, by whatever's happening here.
Yeah.
And yeah, it sucks, but I feel like the person that I am now compared to the person that I was in November, I feel like I'm light years ahead of who I used to be. And that's only fucking, like, I hate to even think about how little time
just
he's actually been in office.
Months.
Yeah, but
even like since like March when we started working together, or September, say for the March, I can say that you seem a lot more like, I don't know if, what's the word I'm trying to think? Just you seem a lot more solid, a lot more like, but not like in a way that's like rigid, just kind of like a comfort in
thank you.
Like a more, I don't know what the word I'm trying to say is, but
forgiving. I feel like I'm more relaxed, and it's
relaxed might even just be you just seem like you're here.
And I think it's helped to be around, you know, people that are positive and have
my HIV status has nothing to do with it. I'm just joking.
See that?
Sorry.
That made me think of just yesterday for the podcast when I had the like don't say dark shit. And I was like, because I know whenever someone hands me a mic, the people that know me well kind of collectively hold their breath because they're like, what the fuck are they gonna say? But I know that you are fucking quick and you're witty and you say some fucked up stuff too, but no one would ever suspect that by the way that you put. I know that that you also struggle with it, but I love that. But yeah, I think, you know, things are really shitty right now, but it's the catalyst that is causing a lot of positive growth, a lot of positive change, and I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah.
Which feels so backwards to say. But
but it's nice too. Yeah, I mean, I feel like in some ways I've had more challenges with outside of my transness and existing as a trans person. You know, some of it's just been like figuring out how I fit community, but like, you know, work, like access to like paid work is really bad for me right now. You know, like my computer just shit the bed. So I don't have a computer, which is where everything happens for me. My mom is, you know, her condition is getting worse. Like I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of the year she was not with us any longer. And so that's something that's continuing to get closer and closer. So I don't know. I feel like in some ways I've been focusing more on that. Many of our friends or like people I know are moving away or having to move away or having to make some really tough decisions. And I feel like I've been showing up for more of that maybe of lately than kind of like the focus of the trans stuff. And I always try to balance it. I always try to like show up for all of that because it's all happening all the time. But you know, I think sometimes it fluctuates a little bit.
I do too. Especially everything's so uncertain right now.
Yeah.
You just kind of have to.
For everyone.
Yeah.
Regardless of our identities or the things that marginalize us. Those just add to it.
Just have to try and find comfort knowing that it is very uncertain and it's constantly changing and evolving. And that's difficult. Especially if like you have anxiety or trauma and like you want to control something because we can't control shit right now.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to what's coming up for us. I know we have like the comedy workshop should be coming up soon. We need to check in with Crystal about that.
Great time.
Have a little update on that. We'd love to hear from folks on like other guests you'd like for us to have. I think we're going to try to have Nixon on again in the next couple of weeks to kind of give us a little bit of a overview now that the session's been done a little bit and he's got a new position, which is exciting. And so, you know, we definitely want to bring Nixon back on, but if there's some other folks that you would like to either be on here or you would like to see, learn more about, like, please let us know. That can be local as well as like beyond. I think we're really thinking about like, we're thinking beyond Boise. Even though we're centered in Boise, a lot of our folks who listen or watch us are in other parts of the country.
Oh yeah, they're all over.
A lot of Canadians,
Mhm.
a lot of people in the UK.
Mhm.
So, and those are just the people we hear from.
Yeah.
So
That'd be fun.
I'm excited to kind of spend a little bit more space in that. It does feel like there's a lot more happening locally
Mhm.
with different organizations and people that are
Mhm.
filling in a lot of the gaps, which is really exciting. And at first it was a little unsettling for us, I think, because we're like, okay, where is our place?
Yeah.
But I think what it does is it affords us an opportunity to move into a different space or in being in a different way. And so I'm really actually really excited about the trajectory of
and
things with
some
Transjoy
other
Boise,
organizations.
but also like just with us personally and like as friends, you know,
Yeah.
and all of it. So yeah, it's all feeling a lot better. Like it's not so.
There's a shift.
Mhm.
I think I feel it too.
Yeah.
And we've got Saturday coming up.
Yes,
We've got
the
our
cafe, our family picnic.
It's gonna be, you know, it's gonna be great.
Yeah.
Potluck, bring food. I'm on a very strict diet now, so I will be bringing food. And
Yeah.
games. It might be overcast, maybe drizzly. So
well, if we have to, we can move things inside, but it'd be fun. Just put on our raincoats.
Absolutely, play volleyball outside.
Right?
Yeah, it'll be a good
so
time.
We're running around in a hoodie and Daisy Dukes. I don't know.
And we have the link to volunteer or bring things for that also in our link tree.
Yes.
So
And we have a bunch of vendors that are joining us this month, and I'm kind of hoping that this will be something that can happen each month now, is that some of these vendors will come every month.
Yeah.
And so we have the Boise Trans Collective is going to be there. The Booth Food Pantry is going to be there. Boise Hive is going to be there, who also has a trans support group. There's a few other folks. There's some massage therapists and healers, a little bit more spiritual stuff provided by trans and non-binary folks.
The Pink Pistols will be there.
Oh, yes. The Pink Pistols. Yeah. Yes. Excited to have Elliot and
an
over there
artist
again.
And book gallery or
book club, bookstore.
Yeah, bookstore, art gallery thing.
Yeah.
We've got some folks. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool. And folks can still sign up either this month or next month if you want to get involved in some way. I know that we are centering trans and non-binary people, and that's who we're kind of really serving, but we do have spaces for allies to kind of help support the event happening. And then there are like moments, I think, where engaging with allies is kind of helpful.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So, but yeah.
Yeah, we hope to see you there. It's going to be good. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes.
I need it. Yeah.
All right. I think we're good.
That's good. Yeah, I think we'll just see you next week.
See y'all next week. Take care.